I know what you're thinking. Trust me. I feel this exact way right now. You feel like you're making your Unity game wrong. You feel like the folder structure is a mess. You feel like the assets are thrown together in a scene, and you feel like maybe it's a house of cards just waiting to come crashing down. Tom Francis, the creator of Gunpoint, Heat Signature, and his latest hit, Tactical Breach Wizards, was generous enough to show me what Tactical Breach Wizards looks like behind the curtain inside of Unity. At first, I was insanely impressed with some crazy custom editor tools that he and his team had created. And by the way, these are incredible. You're going to learn a ton just looking at these editor tools. But I was also encouraged. See, his game, although breathtaking in play mode, it looks, well, like a normal Unity project like yours or mine when all the post-processing and the lighting and the camera effects are removed. It's encouraging and also fascinating just to see a wildly successful project in the editor. And I just know you're going to be encouraged and learn a ton from this clip from the Full Length podcast. So stick around and learn from someone who is currently in the trenches making a full-time living making indie games. And by the way, if you want to make game art like you see in Tom's games or my 2D or 3D games, I can show you exactly how to do it. So I wanted to give you a chance to check out my 2D art course, which dives into everything I've learned as a Time magazine featured game artist. For the next several days, it's 25% off. Plus, you're gonna get my 3D art course completely free, but only for this sale. There's just 50 seats available, and then this sale will be closing. If you enroll today, you'll not only get my 2D and 3D art courses, but hey, you'll also get my custom color templates, my brushes, and I'll also throw in my pixel art course completely free. Join hundreds of students on their game art journey and learn from an actual published indie game dev featured by Rolling Stone, Time Magazine, and PC Gamer. That sounds really cocky to say, but I don't know, it gives me some credibility. So click the link below before the sale expires or the seats sell out. Okay, so this is Tactical Breach Wizards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. Wow, what am I looking at?
So this is a sort of custom inspector for our stage list, which kind of holds the whole structure of the game. So pretty early on, we really realized we needed a different kind of thing to a scene. Our game has Unity scenes, and then it has data on disk, and a stage is basically a pairing of those two things. So this is a gameplay stage. This is the intro mission of the game, and in the configuration of it, there's the mission here is determining where it's going to find the information about the actual level layout, and then the scene here is what you'll actually see. This is a piece of art basically that is pre-made, and throughout the game we reuse background scenes a lot, but obviously each mission is unique levels, so we're loading different data into the same Unity scene.
Can I have you explain this one more time?
Sure.
I'm sitting here, I'm like, it's a custom scene manager kind of thing?
Yeah. So it's the stage list, and each entry here is a stage. And
what do you mean by stage?
They are a custom thing we created that pairs a scene to some data. So in the case of this title card, the first title card we have, the scene is incredibly simple. It's just a black screen basically, and then the data tells it what title to show. So it will be like a prefab. If I edit it, it's going to link to this prefab. So this is really the important data. It's just a scene and there's text prefab, and it's going to load this bit of art into the scene that already exists. And for title cards, that doesn't make a lot of sense. We could have just made individual scenes, but for gameplay, it makes a lot of sense because we have a ton of missions with all the same scene, but different level data.
So this is just a scriptable object.
That's
the stage list scriptable object. Gotcha.
Yeah, dude, each stage is a scriptable object as well. How
long did it take you guys to build this custom scriptable object? I'm sure you can't remember, but maybe like a rough estimate.
Yeah, so this is all our programmer John Winder's department. I do some programming, but he's our sort of lead programmer. And this is something he kind of built as we went along. So the first version of it was very basic. I think it was just for gameplay. So just pair the gameplay scene to the name of the folder that will have all the level files on disk. And then it became really useful as it went along, as the game became more of a fusion of dialogue scenes and gameplay scenes and title scenes and mission end screens, to kind of make it more flexible and give it, allow us to make scenes that were not just level gameplay and covered all the kinds of things that we have in the game. And so it's divided into these tabs. There's 4 tabs here because the game has 4 acts. That's just because it gets unwieldy to view it all at once. But it's really nice for things like we can just drag like a dialogue scene around and just move it to where it'll appear in the game. So This is kind of sequence of things in the game will happen in this order.
Are you serious? I didn't realize it was the actual sequence. I thought it was just a way to look at your scenes, basically. But
yeah, no, it's also how we build it. So we can add. Oh, I don't want to add a new act actually because that would be pretty major. But I can add a new scene, and then you just choose what type of scene you're adding.
Dude, this is so interesting. I have never seen something like this before.
Yeah, we don't really know.
Is this normal? Do you think this is a standard in the game industry?
I mean, you've probably talked to more developers about their process than I have.
I have never seen that before. But there is something to be said about obviously persistent game objects from scene to scene and going from scene to scene and ordering scenes and triggering new scenes. That's super, it's like a spider web. And it's very messy and very complicated. Yeah. There's no Unity solution that's built in currently that helps you create that sort of hierarchy or path from scene to scene to scene. So I think it's brilliant. I wonder if there's a tool though that's in the Unity Asset Store that allows you to do that. I don't know.
Yeah, so to add a new scene, add a new stage, you can just click here and choose a type. I can make a new dialogue scene or title card. Perks are like when you actually spend your upgrade points, and we can put those wherever we like. And if it's a gameplay scene, then when I add it, I've got to edit it. I click override here to choose the scene, and this is a list of all our scenes in the game. Dialogue scenes are obviously for like cutscenes, we're talking. Gameplay scenes are backgrounds, and I can just choose whatever scene I like. So this means you could also load, a level into the wrong scene. Like any level in the game could appear in any tile set. And I'll show you in a minute like how our level editor kind of fills the level with art, because that's all automated as well.
Yeah.
And then that would be a new scene, and it'll show an error for a second because it doesn't update very promptly. But I can then put that wherever I like and move the campaign around. So reordering things is really nice. This is really good for perks, because perks are where you get the upgrades, and there is no strict hard and fast rule for when those happen in the game. We just decide when it's time to give you some upgrades. And we've had to tweak that a lot, especially as we add new characters, because the structure of the game is you start with 2 wizards and then eventually you get 5. But we add those one at a time, and all that time, those first 2 keep leveling up. So we had a problem at one point where those first 2 were so powerful by the end of the game that they were just absurdly good. So we had to figure out how to balance those.
Yeah. Well, that's so funny. I was just about to mention the word balance, because one of the best ways that I've found to balance my game is to have everything in scriptable objects. It's really hard to balance a game when you have to go into the scene and dig around and find there's too much ammo in this crate, or this enemy and this prefab I need to adjust their health. So I'm going to go into the actual enemy prefab and adjust the health or adjust their attack power. Yeah. So it's so much easier to have it all in one game, manager effectively, and do the balancing in the manager.
And again, this is all built by a programmer, John Winder, and it's really smart. It's stuff I would never build if I didn't have a programmer, because on our first game, I did all the programming myself, and it was very much like anything like this would just be like, oh, that would be nice to have, but I can't build it.
Yeah. You know what's really striking about this project, Tom, is this might sound offensive. This is neurotic. How clean this is. I'm looking at the syntax of everything. The only thing that strikes me as outside of your boundaries is that folder called Tom's Experiments. But everything else has really strict syntax and naming conventions. I am and even your scenes, the way your scenes were named, the conventions are very precise. Can you talk a little bit about that? Are you in charge of that? Are you responsible for that sort of?
I'd say that's a team effort. I did sometimes do a sort of organizational overhaul if it was bothering me about where things were and difficulty. It's nice to hear that, because to us by the end of the project, it feels like a nightmare.
Yeah, it always does. It's a house of cards. Even if you've got divine game dev abilities, it's always going to feel like a house of cards. But look at that! Wow, the naming conventions are so impressive. I'm just so kind of jealous of your ability to keep things clean, because I just inevitably can't. at one point it just kind of goes to hell for me in my projects, but this is awesome. Let me ask you a question. So your forte as a game designer, or I would say a game developer, is game design, right? That's your big thing, is design.
Yeah.
Okay. You just won an award at IGF, by the way. What was that? Excellence in Design? Was that it?
Yep.
Okay. So question, because dude, I'm not a game designer. So I'm a story guy. I'm an atmosphere guy. I'm an art guy. And music, that's my thing. And in a way, I kind of approach making games like I do, like making a film, which is not the most profitable way to do things, but that's just my skill sets. That's my talent. My question to you is, as somebody who is not a skilled game designer, my question to you is this level of organization crucial to a game with such intricate design?
I don't know if it's crucial. We haven't made a game like this before. This is our first game was 3 hours long and all story driven and kind of linear. Our second game was completely procedural and kind of as long as you want it to be, but maybe 20 to 100 hours, depending on sort of how much you rinse it.
Wow.
And this one is 15 hours long and it's a story driven campaign. And that was a real learning experience because I thought, well, we've done this before. We've done a story driven campaign. We know how to just put things one after the other and decide what the player's experience is going to be to a large extent. But we'd never made one 15 hours long before. So that's kind of why it's in these 4 acts. Each of these acts is about what the size of our first game, Gunpoint. And once you've made that much game, you kind of have to reinvent it for the next bit. So that's when organization becomes quite critical, and just managing the players' power level over the course of a long campaign like this. We're not a true RPG. You're not earning experience by doing extra side quests or anything. We are kind of a puzzle game at times. It's a kind of puzzle tactics game. So there are times in the campaign where we need to make sure you can do this. The player has to be able to do this, otherwise they're just stuck. They can't do anything else. Yeah. The game would just end. So we had to be very careful about knowing what the player's abilities were.
Cool. Let's go ahead and I want to click. Can we click a play stage button? I kind of want to see what the art looks like in a scene. Is that possible?
Yeah, for sure. Let me do the first one in the Rushwater Police Department. This is kind of when the game starts to get going. There's a prologue intro mission that's very on rails, and then this is still tutorially. We're introducing a new wizard, but at the same time we've got to because I've changed this.
I know
I added a dummy stage.
Man, dude,
I was demonstrating that you could move it anywhere, and now I can't remember where I put it.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at the Unity version. We're in 2019, so it's almost like we're in a little time capsule here, trying to open up a project from effectively 2019.
Yeah, I haven't fired it up from the editor in quite some time. This is not sort of the game can't run. It's like a warning because we needed to delineate kind of, this is the gameplay mission, but actually everything that comes before that mission, the dialogue before it and the location card before it are kind of part of it. Mm-hmm. And when you go back and replay missions, we need to know where do we start you from and when have you finished? So we have a system for that, and I screwed it up by adding an extra mission. So let's see if this works now. Yeah, so this is in-game. We're in a gameplay stage now, but there's a little script file to tell it to play some dialogue at the start.
Mm-hmm. Well, once this dialogue is up, if you don't mind, let's open up it in scene view and if we can look around this scene and see it, and compare it to the game view. I love seeing stuff like that.
Yeah. How do I get it to actually look at the scene we're in?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Let's see.
Okay, good.
So
it's just wild to me how, and I hope you don't take this the wrong way, because I said the same thing to the creator of Inscription, how unimpressive a scene looks in scene view,
Yeah, I haven't really looked at this much, especially this scene. So this is a real credit to our artist, John Roberts, who did all of the art. But especially you can see how much the processing is doing here.
Exactly, yeah.
I was going to try and zoom in, but I can't zoom in during a dialogue scene.
So we've got particle emitters, we've got 3D models that, to me, they don't look like assets. I mean, are they custom?
Do you mean, did we make them models?
Yeah.
It's all our own stuff.
So would you say that this project as a whole is pretty much fully custom. There's no assets being used.
We do use some assets. I can probably just see in the project actually. I remember for like cloth physics, we use a plugin. For some ropes and cables, we use a plugin for that. And we also have a lot of like behind the scenes like integration with things like Trello for like bug reporting.
Sure.
We use something called FlatKit, which is part of our rendering style, which I believe is a plugin, and MK Glow Free is like a post-processing suite. Sure. John would know more about exactly what we've used, so that might be an incomplete list. But yeah, we did definitely use some third-party stuff.
These shaders that give this toon shading, you're saying that's a FlatKit shader.
Yeah, I think that's something that John sort of took a baseline and then customized from there. Because it is quite a specific art style, especially like John and I happen to agree on rendering faces in the sense that we like it a bit stylized, like to just sort of suggest, we just have the eyes and no other facial features. Because as soon as you do other facial features, the character has an expression. And quite a specific expression, and then 90% of the time that's the wrong expression for what's going on. Whereas if you leave it blank, I think the player can kind of fill it in.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that you can get away with as well with these isometric games, right? You don't have to show their faces, and you don't have to show close-ups of most things, right? So helps to have that isometric camera. Oh, cool! I love that. Oh wow, the backgrounds are 3D.
Yeah, so when I'm assigning a scene file to a level, this is the scene file really, is all this backdrop stuff.
I see. Can you give me the thought process of why you wouldn't just use a flat, sprite, like take a screenshot of it and just put it underneath?
Well, the player can move the camera in game, so
that's why. Okay,
like gotcha. So we could have done completely, blank backgrounds, just sort of a kind of abstract thing. But it took us a while to kind of decide on the exact level of fidelity and convincingness, because obviously that would be the abstract end of the spectrum. The more real end of the spectrum would be to draw this building under you, like the lower floors, we just don't draw them. And these other rooms that you're going to go to, we played around a bit with how much of those we show. We want to give you a sense of the building, the layout, that you are going in this direction. But at the same time, if there's detail in there, then that's distracting. And I especially wanted to make sure the player knows you don't have to worry about anything that's not this room. The next room will be a little bit bigger than this, and actually not that much bigger. But let me actually skip ahead a bit and get a more representative level.
But this is linear, right?
Yeah. You don't choose what level to do.
Okay. And no procedural generation either.
No, we toyed around with that for a while. Like we built a sort of prototype procedural generator, but it was going to be a lot of work to make it reliably fun, and we didn't really need it. Like, actually, part of the reason we didn't do it is we brought on a level designer, Steve Lee, to help out with level design, and so he did a chunk of the campaign, but especially he did all of the optional extra missions, and having those be hand designed is it was a lot better than doing proc gen stuff. And another reason for not to do proc gen is that this game, we're quite careful about ensuring you have a good story reason to be, breaking into buildings and taking out the people inside, because this is a pretty hostile action you're doing. We wanted to make sure that it's always against a powerful opponent who is oppressing somebody.
Yeah, it's justified.
Yeah, and so proc gen doesn't really. It solves a problem that we're not going to have, which is we're not going to want you to do a ton of gameplay without any story, because all of that is difficult to justify. That's why the optional missions we do have, they don't have story attached to them, but they also technically take place in a dream. It's kind of like a wizard hallucination dream where you sort of it's to do with Zan's powers. It's a total fudge, and we kind of make fun of it in the game, but it enables us to just have a ton of missions without having to write a story for each one of them.
Exactly.
The way we make levels is not in Unity itself, but in our own level editor. This is total overkill by our artist, John. He made his own custom tile set just for the level editor. So it kind of looks like a sort of, a VR room or... very, very nice and clear. It shows the orientation of each thing. So
wait, this is real time? Like how did you get to this?
I just hit L. I'm in developer mode here, but you
That is
can.
so impressive. Wow.
This level editor is in the game, so players can mess around with it. And when you want to edit the room, you can just I can add some extra cover here, like this, and then jump straight back into the game, and the art will just sort of figure it all out.
That is amazing, Tom.
So it's super cluttered.
Wow.
And yeah, making new geometry is pretty easy too. You can just, if this level should be bigger, we just add floor. We don't have to add the walls because at a certain point it's just obvious where the wall should go. Like obviously you want walls separating any bit of the outside with the inside. I can add some windows along here. Could add some more enemies if I remember where to find everything. So it's been a long time since I made a level.
Now, do you have to use the level editor? Does the team have to use it?
Yeah, we use this for everything. Okay. We for our first game, Gunpoint, I built all the levels inside Game Maker, which is what I was using for that game. And then at the end, I didn't know if I was going to have a level editor. So I didn't build it first in case we didn't have time. And at the end, we did have time, so I built the level editor at the end. And after I'd made it, I was like, this is so much nicer to use than what I've been doing for 3 years. So I'm like, next time I'm building a level editor at the start, and then I get to use it.
Would you recommend someone like me, like I like making like story-driven first-person shooter games, kind of like BioShock type games. Would you recommend a level editor for those kind of games?
Yeah, I mean, I've never built those kinds of levels. Well, I guess I did in my like modding days in school, where we messed around a little bit with making like Quake levels and things. But it's been so long that I don't know what modern FPS level design is like. With our game, it's so the bones are so simple. Like we wanted it to be big and chunky, and like there's no awkwardly shaped objects. Everything just takes up a full square meter or nothing. Yeah. So the building of the logic is very simple. And I do remember seeing a video about BioShock that talked about how much of a pain in the ass it was in that game, where they'd built and arted a level, and then they decided, like, for gameplay reasons, the flow needed to change, and you got to just move this whole change this whole corridor, and all of the art and clutter you've added has to be basically deleted and then recreated after you do it. And
we went through that process, dude. I think we went through 3 different level iterations for 12 different levels.
Oof.
So that's more than 30 times a level was built. And what was crazy is me and my team member, Felipe, we have this problem. We're very visual people. So we have to see a level set dressed to know if it's working. And that is such a pain, because like we would try in Graybox and we just couldn't fully realize the level. And even like some like game design stuff, we didn't even know if the game design was good with just gray boxing. We'd have to set dress it to realize if it was actually fun. And I knew that was a problem because it's such an expensive way to make games. So I'm curious with this, is your mentality that gray boxing and just very simple forms should be enough for you to realize whether the game is actually fun?
Yeah, I mean, we never play a level in this form. We had at least some kind of quality art tile set from the start. Sometimes it wasn't the one that we'd be using eventually for this mission, but we were always playing with like shipping quality assets. John is incredible at everything he makes is ready to ship. Basically, we never have anything kind of rough and ready. We definitely have times when like we don't have all the elements that we want to put into the final game, but everything he makes looks great from the start. So, what I was trying to show here is that you can switch these levels between tile sets pretty simply. So I'll actually put this back in the police tile set just so you can see the normal version of this level. So this is it normally. And then if it's crashed. Well, okay, I can just get past that. And then, I was just messing around with the black site tile set, black site ops. I have to change the mission, the scene as well. So although you can set the scene in the stage editor, you can also do it from within the level editor, and it just has to kind of reload. But then you've got the same level in a different tile set. And it's crazy how different it feels, you know.
Oh, it changes everything. The background's changed.
It feels more spacious at this level, even though it's the same geometrically. Just the kind of light and airy, deserty feel. You can see that the background scene has all these sandbags and military stuff. This is a kind of military installation. But I can also take us to, let's do Clan. Clan Streets probably won't work too well because that's designed specifically for an outdoor environment, which is trickier you have to bear that in mind when you design the level. But for every other tile set in the game, every tile set works basically. So now we're going to go to Kalan with the chapel, who are a kind of religious institution.
Whoa, cool.
So again, this is gameplay-wise the exact same level, but it just looks and feels completely different.
Man. Well, dude, thank you so much for hanging out. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I learned a ton. Hey, what do you want in the description of this podcast? Anything? Any link?
Actually pointing people to like our Steam profile page and maybe our mailing list. I mentioned that's where we get testers from. So if folks want to test our next thing, that's a good place to go.
Will do. If you want to test Tom's next game, the link is in the description. Thank you so much, man. That was a lot of fun.
Thanks a lot.
Yep. Cheers. And by the way, if you want to make game art like you see in Tom's games or my 2D or 3D games, I can show you exactly how to do it. So I wanted to give you a chance to check out my 2D art course, which dives into everything I've learned as a Time magazine featured game artist. For the next several days, it's 25% off. Plus, you're gonna get my 3D art course completely free, but only for this sale. There's just 50 seats available, and then this sale will be closing. If you enroll today, you'll not only get my 2D and 3D art courses, but hey, you'll also get my custom color templates, my brushes, and I'll also throw in my pixel art course completely free. Join hundreds of students on their game art journey and learn from an actual published indie game dev featured by Rolling Stone, Time Magazine, and PC Gamer. That sounds really cocky to say, but I don't know, it gives me some credibility. So click the link below before the sale expires or the seats sell out.